welcome to my channel. I am Tato Cat, and today we are playing The Letter. Previously, we really got into Marianne's story. She just got the email from the Wrights. She doesn't know that this is Luke. And we went to the pub, drank with our girls, sang some karaoke. Girls left, drank some more, met him that we call him Whiskey, pretended like we're someone else. We taste chocolate for a living. He's a manager of some sort taking care of his sick mother. Yeah. And then we came back to my place and we had the option to sleep with him or not sleep with him. I was like, no. And yeah, that's pretty much where we left off. Alright, let's continue.
Bloody hell.
Oh, I love that achievement. I'm not going to say it out loud. Of course, he's annoyed at me for putting off our night of sexual congress, but no means no. And beyond spewing a few profanities under his breath, he surprisingly simmers down soon enough. I was worried for a moment that he might try to force something. Instead, he makes a show of fixing his suit and smoothing down his hair before making himself comfortable on the nearest seat he could find.
What are you doing then? You have a guest in your home. Put the damn kettle on. Dandelion tea if you have it. But I suppose all you have are those shitty tea bags from the store.
You're a shitty tea bag from the store. If it isn't for the absurdity of this turn of events, I would have flipped him off for thinking I have no taste. But in the end, I just laughed. Well, I got our cans of Korean ginseng and lemon balm, though no dandelion. Second thought, I do wet the tea. What does that even mean? That's 3 minutes to get the kettle to a boil. Okay, so those aren't pre-made things. That's she's saying she is making tea. I just never heard it referred to in such a way. 3 minutes where we say nothing to each other. I mean, what do you even say to the guy I was going to sleep with until I changed my mind? I doubt he's in the mood to talk about the influence of Troy's on Mallory. It's still unusual. By the time we're both seated on my bed, with mugs of tea in hand.
Just so you know, whatever is going on right now is a lot stranger and fucked up than the one night stand.
It is weird, but I wouldn't say it's more fucked up.
We are two messed up individuals by your logic.
Everything is messed up, if you ask me. War, terrorism, famine, poverty, loved ones and loved lost. Oh, this whole world is a cesspool.
The dead air is telling me when it fills the room once more. The dead air is telling when it fills the room once more, even. One would think that this is a perfect time to burst, to spill about whatever issue that made us the fucked up person that we are today. And it is. But I guess some part of me would rather not put the weight of my problems on somebody else's shoulder. It wouldn't be fair to leave that to a person when I don't even know if we'll ever see each other again. Sooner rather than later, we both passed out on my bed, mugs left forgotten on the floor. Dot dot dot. Dot dot dot. When I wake, whiskey is already gone. A bottle of painkillers and a note on the table is the only evidence that I wasn't alone last night. Is that an R? That looks like a 2. Or a Z. I'm sure this is a French word, and I just don't know it. I don't even question where these are from, or just how he knew my real name. Oh, okay, so it is supposed to be Marianne. But it still looks like a 2. Or a Z. Why do his R's look so weird? I'm just grateful for something to help with a hangover. Might as well. Yeah. Mary Ann and Whiskey went back to the condo after one too many drinks. However, Mary Ann changed her mind about the one-night stand and ended up sharing tea with him instead. The next morning, the stranger left nothing but a note and a bottle of painkillers. I have a job to do. It isn't often that I think about drinking on the job. After meeting with the Wrights yesterday, really makes me want to break my self-imposed rules. Because first off, fucking damn, Whiskey was fucking damn Mr. Wright. And to top it all off, he had somehow forgotten to inform me that they didn't own the Ermengarde Mansion yet when they hired me. What sort of person does that?
Rich people.
I was going to say rich people, but you just said it, lady. I could do nothing but twiddle my thumbs at this, however. Twiddle my thumbs and wait for the go signal. It's not like I can accept other smaller projects. This is a big job, and I should be ready to start on it at any time. Not to mention that my PA practically begged me to be patient and wait this out. It was a hard decision to agree, but I did so in the end. Besides, I'm doing this for the Ermengarde Mansion, not for anything or anyone else. I have a headache, whatever I do anyways. I go to the pub again, but seeing what happened a few days ago, I'd rather not end up in bed with another potential client. And it might be a huge leap in logic, but a library is the next best thing after the pub. I have to go there anyway. I need more books for Dad. Plus, I also need to return the ones I borrowed last time. Finding a new book or two to read for myself while I have nothing to do isn't such a bad idea either. So, on a Saturday morning, I find myself going to the only library in Luxembourg to hopefully cool off. This is definitely a library. After returning an Urzuli in a poetry book by Henry of Podbrady, I asked the librarian about the several titles on my list. I don't have much luck on that front. Dialogue with Death has already been snatched, and she bluntly said that she did not keep our mathematical universe for someone who didn't return books on time. I make headway at least when I ask about Siege and Redemption of Havana by Jacob de Pizuela. I am butchering these names, and I admit this. And I don't know what these books are. If you count her snarling and pointing at the history section, as headway that is. The history section is devoid of any other except for myself and a redhead, though I'd wager to guess that Red's just passing by to get to the classical literature section. So many books, so little time. Scanning the books and seeing so many wonderful titles gives me great pleasure. And that's when I spot it.
Hello, sailor. Why don't you come to Mama?
History of Luxembourg Architecture, first edition. It's not the naval battle book I was looking for. No, it's even better. The newly acquired History of Luxembourg Architecture, first edition too. I know I just have to get it. I've been waiting to get my hands on the book for so long. The fact that there is only one copy proves to be a problem, though, when Red reaches out for it at the same time I do.
I think I had this first, miss.
Oh, that's right. She is a redhead. She has pink hair. Her hair is pink. It is pink. Look at the color of her shirt. Look at her hair. That is the color, but darker. It is not red. Just saying. I can only stare her down when she refuses to let go of the book. Refusing to let go of it as well, I raise a brow at her in hopes that the fact I was significantly taller than her would intimidate the girl. That doesn't work with short people because we're used to it, and that just means we have to bark louder. What do they call it? Napoleon complex? That's why Chihuahuas are evil. Even then, she refused with a rebellious look.
This isn't exactly light reading, miss.
Wow! That's insulting.
I mean, do you even know which architect was at the forefront of 18th century Irish architecture?
A beat. She blinks, and I can't help the smirk on my face, which is wiped off when she opens her mouth.
Edward Lovett Pierce, who established the Palladian style through his work with Castletown House and the Irish Houses of Parliament.
Normally I'm not a fan of Becca, but like when somebody is just insults your intelligence like that and you're able to be like, well, big words, correct answer to the question, mic drop, it makes me want to just go, never underestimate the little guy.
This bridge was destroyed in this year to delay French troops while under the regency of Mary of Guise.
And I thought it was Guise. Because it's French, right? Whatever. This is not what I was expecting. Let's be honest. How many people would know these history facts? Aside from me, anyway.
Going right to the obscure ones, aren't you? Easy enough. Tullybody Old Bridge in Clackmannanshire, Scotland, on the January of 1560, if we want to be specific.
Are we just having a nerd off right now? Suddenly, it's a game where we throw these history questions and facts at each other, back and forth in hushed tones unless we want to be thrown out of the library. The ultimate shame thing to happen to a book nerd is to be thrown out of a library for a nerd off. After a while, it goes from some strange competition into this strange but friendly banter, if it could be called that. But as fun as it is, the exchange soon slows down until we're grinning at how odd this whole scene is.
Marianne McCulloch, my desire for potatoes doesn't quite match what the stereotypes suggest.
Rebecca Gales, the Scots' supposed hatred for the English wasn't enough to stop me from teaching their little spawns.
Also, how could you not love potatoes? I'm just saying. By then, we had forgotten about our little tug of war, although she still holds the book in her hands. I had let it go of it without realizing, and she answered my first question.
History teacher, then?
Got it in one.
No wonder you gave me a run for my money. Now, if we're talking about architecture, I'd blow you out of the water. You're from where? Luxburn Uni?
Oh no, just St. Goretti's.
Ah, yes. St. Goretti, as she put it. You'd think a school would choose a more appropriate saint to name themselves after, especially when they have very young students. I don't know who that saint is. Don't know all of the saints. I'm not so great at that. Maybe I'll study all the saints. The last one was pretty weird. Seems kind of cool.
And I'm guessing you're an architect, if you're so confident about the subject.
Interior designer, Miss Gales.
Please, just call me Rebecca. You aren't one of my students, are you?
Marianne, then.
I could have said that I was an architect, but there's no point in explaining why I wasn't one anymore.
So, I've never seen you before. I'd like to think I've met every history aficionado in town.
That's a weird thought, but okay.
I blame the rock I've been hiding under, of course. That, and I'm usually only here on the weekdays if time allows. Work often has me meeting clients on the weekends.
That must be interesting work.
It allows for some creative freedom, sure. But it's like working with children sometimes. Though you probably have it harder working with actual children.
Okay. Working in customer service or working with children are still better. Because at least they're actually children. And not just behaving like big giant children.
The hardest part is convincing them that your idea is their idea.
That sounds exciting.
It is!
But isn't that true for any workplace, though? We just cross our fingers and hope there aren't any man-children in charge of important things.
Yes, that is true.
Any big projects right now? I can't imagine that interior designing is a frequent thing.
I'm working on the Ermengarde Mansion. Lucky me. That mansion. Intach. Wonderful. Breathtaking. I can't wait to start in it. Now that is beautiful architecture.
Wait until she meets the ghost. A pause. It looks like she wants to say something at my mention of the house. I'm not surprised. That place is certainly popular with the locals, especially with the urban legends attached to it. In the next second, though, she seems to think better of it and drops what she's about to say.
So, do you have a portfolio or anything I can take a look at? I'd love to see your designs. Maybe you have some on a tablet? I've met some designers before, and they're always going crazy over these virtual room apps or another.
A tablet? Please. Callicrates didn't need those silly iTabs when he built the Parthenon. I certainly don't need one to design a house.
Yeah. What do they call it? Purist. The computer back at my place is all I have. Why should I buy such an expensive gadget that will just get outdated within the year? And when what I have is just as functional. The traditional ways had far more personal touch, in my opinion. Not to mention those smartphones are awful tools of procrastination. I can't even count on one hand the number of people I see going outside only to have their eyes glued to the things. And fuck touchscreens. They're evil things that make typing what should have been a simple task harder.
I do have an online portfolio if you'd like. I can...
Speaking or thinking of the devil seems to have some of it, because before I can even carry on, Rebecca's attention wanes as she pulls out her mobile. For what I can only assume is a call, she gives me an apologetic look before she standing up and excuses herself. Off further into the aisle as she goes for some privacy. I do my best to give it to her as well, trying to tune her out.
Well, is something wrong? Lunch at the coffee house? Sure, I can make it. I'm not too far. I can be there in 10.
But with how quiet the surrounding is, she can't blame me if I overhear snippets of her conversation. When she returns with a sheepish look on her face, I know that our friendly chat has been cut short.
Sorry, I have to go and meet with some friends.
It's fine. Totally fine. No need to even apologize.
About the book.
Do we let her keep the book? Do we get a choice? Can we be like, no, my book, and then we just take it anyways? Her embarrassment increases twofold when she realizes she's still holding on to history of Luxembourg architecture. I don't give her time to think about it as I put a hand up and shake my head. Fishing out a pen and paper from my bag, along with one of my business cards, I hand them over to her.
You know, I'm busy with work, so I might not even be able to take a peek at it anytime soon. You can go ahead and have it. But you'll have to ring me up when you're returning it just so I can snag it right away. Deal?
She makes quick work, pinning her number down and handing it back to me with a grin.
Deal. Just message me during school hours, of course. You have a good day then.
You too.
With Rebecca gone, I'm left alone, standing in the history section. Although my original plans were simply sit down, read a book, or our little pop quiz, if you could call it that, made the time pass by without any of us realizing it. It was fun, and I do believe I made a new friend. Good job, Marianne. Even with the talk of lunch, however, I don't feel like grabbing a bite to eat. There are still other books to be read here, and I'm hoping to find something that will help me while I work with the rights. Something like How to Deal with Arseholes Professionally 101, just in case. I've dealt with a lot of uppity, snooty, and rich clients before, but it's still better to be safe than sorry. Because Luke, right, just takes the fucking cake, and he probably manages to eat it too. It seems the world conspiring to keep me from my me time as my mobile vibrates in my pocket. Mobile. I can't just call it a phone in my pocket. The moment I find something from the shelves of the classic literature section.
Marianne McCulloch, Charlie Rose Design speaking.
Rose Cooper here, Miss McCullough. I hope I didn't catch you at a bad time or anything. But I just wanted to check in and tell you that we've got the clear to hand over the documents. Madam Wright told us that we should forward the floor plans to you.
Aw, poor Rose. Already? How did it go through the process so fast? Surely there's so many red tape to even acquire the forms in transferring of rights. No matter how rich the rights are, it shouldn't be this quick, right?
So, if I can just have your email, I'll be sending them your way.
I'd actually like a physical copy of the floor plans.
Oh, I suppose that's fine. I'm not at the office right now, but I can inform Miss Santos of your request.
I'll make sure to drop by the office after lunch if that's fine.
Not a problem. Right. Well, cheers.
Right. Cheers.
I don't know. I just don't. Is there some sort of deeper miscommunication when we last met? These things take time. It's been, what, a day? Less than that even? There isn't even a point in trying to make sense of these people who seem to be larger than life. As it looks like I'm on the clock starting today, I might as well eat. Oh, here it is. Marianne befriended Rebecca Gales during a visit at the library. Marianne received a call from Rose Cooper afterwards informing her that the Ermengarde Mansion's floor plans were ready to pick up at their office. And lots of stuff happening. Wow, this is like full of things that just happened. Cool. Grabbing some fish and chips from one of the street food stalls, I find a table to spend time with a copy of Marquise de Sade's The Crime of Love, since Rebecca left with the book I wanted. Adjusting. I've read this one before along with the rest of his works. This would be the 18th time, in fact. It's always nice to read through it again when I don't have time to enjoy something new. Besides, when you're dealing with people so filthy rich they just end up plain filthy, you need the good old Marquise sound device.
La blessure se trouvant sans aucune sorte de conséquence.
I don't know what most of those words are. I knew consequence. One being without any consequence. Of course, it's folly to think that the things have no consequence, but everything actually does. Briar Realty Corporation, Luxborn's branch, isn't too far off from the city center, just a few blocks away, and I can easily eat and walk. I'd rather use this time to rest before I go into a flurry of activity. No doubt, there'll be so much to do once we get hands on with the mansion. That's a weird sense. We get hands on with the mansion? Okay, I get it, but it's still like a mouthful.
Still a lot better than working on another condo, at least.
Surely, no matter how much BRC and the old owners put into the restoration and preservation of the place, any big repairs would be superficial at most. I am quite certain that, in their haste to sell the property, they did a rush job. It isn't an infrequent thing to do despite how it's frowned upon. There'll be a lot of hidden issues that I will need to weed out, and I have to make sure I find every single one of them, especially the more serious damages. Structural integrity is definitely on top of the list. We will have to consider. The building might look sturdy, but is centuries old. That alone will likely pose a few problems here and there, the limitations of what we can do. Besides, despite how much I detest these rich snobs, they can pay rather handsomely, so long as I do an excellent job and do more than necessary. Those two things always made sure the referrals keep coming. I don't even have to hunt down projects for myself. When I do go up to BRC's office, I can't help but stop and stare when I enter the building. With the lunch hour closing, employees should have been back already if they still aren't filtering through the doors. I get that it's a Saturday, that people probably feel tired and lazy to be working on a weekend, but they're still on the clock, and not bumming about wasting company time on extended lunch breaks and cigarette sessions. The office is spacious, as it is with these big corporations. Each person is given their little space of what's usually 2 by 2 meter cube. But cool. There is a lot more empty chairs than there are actual people working at their desks. It reminds me far too much of my last stay at Proskova projects during the massive layoffs due to the Irish economic crisis. But it isn't just that, though. Everything is as quiet as a grave. It's as if these people are merely ghosts. Speaking of ghosts, Santos comes in through the door, looking as if she's just seen one. She looks at me wide-eyed like a deer caught in the headlights, ready to bolt at any moment. I'd ask out of concern, but I feel it's not my position to do so. What if it's something personal? I'd simply be overstepping my boundaries. Really, it's none of my business.
I presume that Miss Cooper told you why I'm here, Miss Santos?
Huh? Oh, yeah. Sorry, I just got back from lunch, you know. But it won't take too long. Don't worry.
Of course it won't. This whole project has established itself to be a matter done in haste. I do hope it doesn't mean that people are being careless in their duties.
She flinches and looks like she doesn't quite know how to respond to that. Thankfully, instead of opening her mouth, she leads the way towards her station and goes to fetch the floor plans. It won't take too long, as she said, but it does take a bit. Time spent compose herself, most likely.
You know, we usually just email these things.
I prefer the real thing.
Not that you would know. You probably have your nose stuck in front of a smartphone when you're not working, and even when you should be working, playing those mindless addictive games. You are really judgmental. And you make these great assumptions out of people before you even talk to them. I definitely wish Chris would stop playing the Batcat thingy during work hours too.
I know what you mean. Digital painting is nice, but nothing beats the smell of real paint. Not that I go and smell paint like a crazy person, but, you know, the real thing is different.
Wait, what? See, you're just being a jerk. Marianne, you really are. Alright, we'll end this episode here, and we'll see how she responds to Isabella after finding out that she was wrong again about a person. Alright, now I'm Taylor Cat. Have a wonderful morning, evening, afternoon.